At the time, towards the end of her life, did she discuss her attitude or feelings about Bobby Kennedy or anything that was going on? Do you recall?
Yes.
Tell me what she talked to you about.
She mentioned the fact that he got what he wanted, now I can't get him. And she said, I realize, telling me this, I realize that the romance is over, but I want to know why. And if I don't find out why, and if he does not call me, which is what she told me on the Friday evening prior to her death, she said, I'm going to call a press conference on Monday morning, and I'm going to blow the lid off of this whole damned thing.
You're suggesting that the President of the United States and others in his administration were interested in silencing Marilyn Monroe?
I won't point a finger at the President, but I would say either dissident members of a government organization such as the FBI or the CIA who wanted to protect the Kennedys, which did not represent their particular interest organizations, because, as we all know, there are dissident groups of 3 or 4 persons that take things into their own hands within an organization.
It is now Saturday, August 4th, the last day of Marilyn's life. She desperately calls the Justice Department searching the whereabouts of Bobby Kennedy. She calls her psychiatrist. He comes to her house and leaves. She calls friend Jeannie Carmen.
It was probably around 9. I really didn't glance at the clock, but I would set it somewhere around 9:30.
Did she seem in any way drugged or drunk?
Not at all.
I mean, you've heard her when she had a slur.
Oh, yeah. Seemed perfectly normal.
And you know what Marilyn sounds like when she is drugged. Have you ever thought that if you had gone to Marilyn Monroe, you could have saved her life?
It makes me think that I probably wouldn't be here. You know, sometimes I have thoughts, well, okay, I could have saved her life. I'd have been there. Nothing would have happened. But on the other hand, she was going to talk to the press the following day or on Monday, and people might have been desperate and wanting to get rid of her, so to speak, and maybe if I'd have been there, I would have been zipped too, or zapped, or whatever you want to call it.
This is District Attorney Carroll, who, in 1982, launched an inquiry into Marilyn's death to ascertain whether a grand jury should be impaneled to investigate the mystery further. He found no such grounds.
We went back to the original death scene and the condition of the body and the facts that we could establish independent of these new things coming to light, and concluded there was no credible evidence to support a murder investigation at that time.
Would you concede, however, that the circumstances of the death did indeed trigger the kind of speculation that you had to probe?
She was a high visibility, a very well-known actress, well-known in her relationships with other people in the movie business and also politicians. She sang, as you know, for Jack Kennedy at his birthday celebration. She was the kind of person that the public wants to know more about, and certainly wants to know more about her death and anything related to that. I understand that interest.
I think it's possible that there was some kind of an accident. It may have been the most tragic accident imaginable, in which Monroe had taken the number of barbiturates she knew she could handle, or thought she knew she could handle, but that someone else, wanting to calm her down when she was so distraught, gave her barbiturates in one of those enemas she was taking at that time. So, but innocently gave her those, not knowing that she'd taken the other barbiturates.
Bill Roma is a retired FBI agent from Chicago. His beat was to nail gangster Sam Giancana. While tracking Giancana, Roma gained a telling insight into some of the men in Marilyn's life. Today, he is a lawyer, and after years of sitting in a front-row seat to the drama that was Marilyn, he believes it is time for a grand jury to be impaneled.
What do you make of the theory that Marilyn Monroe was murdered?
I don't believe that, because I don't know who would have the motivation to murder her. Certainly the mob wouldn't have wanted to murder her at that particular point, because they would have wanted something to go on so that they could have used that to blackmail the Kennedys. And so I don't see that they would have the motivation. Hoffa wouldn't have the motivation to murder her, and I can't believe, knowing Bob Kennedy as well as I knew him, and what I know of John Kennedy, there's just no possibility in my mind that they would have had anything to do with trying to murder her.
Would you like to see a grand jury investigation into the death of Marilyn Monroe?
I would, yeah. I think that there have been so many questions now, and there's so many conjecturing, so much conjecturing. I think that it would be nice to put it all out in the open once and for all, so that there would be no question about what exactly happened.
You've been sitting here in this courtroom, and you've had the function of listening very carefully to the witnesses we've presented. I want you to know that we didn't bring in all the witnesses we have on this case. We brought in a sampling of those witnesses, and you've listened to them. I want to know by a show of hands right now, how many of you think that there should be a grand jury to investigate the death of Marilyn Monroe? Let me see. 1, 2.
The people you have seen tonight are available to testify at an official grand jury. Right now, there is more information on Marilyn's death than at any time before, information that demands official scrutiny. But already there's been too much delay. Delay that has robbed history of the key figures in the Marilyn mystery. President John F. Kennedy, assassinated. Robert Kennedy, assassinated. Jimmy Hoffa, kidnapped, presumed assassinated. Gangster Sam Giancana, assassinated. Gangster Johnny Roselli, assassinated. Any further delay could rob history of the truth forever. Marilyn Monroe, a case for murder?